Today I'm going to replace the screen and the battery in my Apple Watch. This particular model is the Sport Edition 38mm, but the process will be similar for all of the Apple Watches. For this project I'm going to use a sturdy pry tool that you can find linked in the video description. You'll see why you need something sturdy later on in this video. Removing the bands is easy enough. Just take the tool, press the back buttons, and slide off the bands. I will link the replacement bands in the video description as well. Make sure the device is turned off. There are no external screws for this watch, so the screen itself needs to lift off. Using a heat gun, I gently heat the watch up until it's too hot to touch, and then I take my razor blade and slide it between the metal frame of the watch and the screen, making sure not to go too deep inside of the device. You'll see why in just a second. Just stay along the outer lip of the screen and the metal frame of the watch and we should be okay. Make sure not to put too much pressure on the screen itself, especially with the higher end Apple Watches using the sapphire glass. Sapphire glass is super brittle and will shatter with too much pressure in one place. As I do this, I'm making sure not to damage the adhesive so I can reuse it later. Now that the screen is a little bit separated from the device, I can take my plastic pry tool and slide it between the glass and the metal frame. This is a little bit safer than using a metal object. And now we can get a glimpse into the inside of the device. This little metal cover over the screen connections is a super huge pain. The latch does not want to come off, but with a little persuading down by the little tip towards the bottom of the watch, you can get it to eventually separate. The little screen ribbon cables underneath the latch can also be snapped off using the same plastic pry tool. They are very similar to little Lego pieces. Try not to kink or bend the ribbon cables too much because they are pretty fragile. So here's the screen for the Apple Watch Sport Edition. The Sport Edition is made of Ion X glass. The more expensive Apple Watches have the sapphire glass, which ranks at about a 9 on Mohs scale of hardness. Ion X glass sits about a 7 or 8 on that scale, still very scratch resistant, but not as brittle as sapphire, which is a good quality on a sport watch. Remember when I said not to slip your razor into the watch too far? There are a ton of ribbon cables right there next to the edge of the screen that can be sliced, so watch out for them. If I can find replacement parts for this watch, I will link them in the video description. If there are none linked in the video description, you might just have to buy another broken or locked watch and Frankenstein them together to make one working unit. Here is where the durable pry tool comes into play. The battery is glued down to the back of the watch, so you have to pry it out and unclip it from the watch body. It is a 205 milliamp battery. For reference, the Android smartwatch, the Moto 360, it has a 300 milliamp battery. You can see the Taptic motor here. This is what you feel vibrating on your wrist when you get notifications, and it is actually surprisingly strong. Instead of a rotating motor like you see in most smartphones, this one pulses back and forth to get a stronger buzz. Clipping the battery back into place is relatively easy. The watch side of the connector just folds up to allow you to pinch the battery back onto it. Then the whole contraption just folds back into the watch like some kind of origami masterpiece. Clipping the screen ribbons back down is a lot harder. The Lego connections are itty bitty and you have to get them just right for it to click into place. I'm going to test the screen before I put the little metal latch back on so I don't waste time with that tiny little thing. And the screen works great, so it is time for the latch. Making sure to turn it off again before I slip the metal object back inside the electronic device. It is a nightmare, but with just the right placement and the right amount of force, I can get it to click back into place again. I personally am just going to use the same adhesive that was already in the watch to put back down the screen, but you can always use a strong, thin, double-sided tape as well if you're worried about it coming loose. I will link that in the video description as well. The screen does snap down when you press it into place, so I'm not too worried about it coming off. And it works. The watch bands click back into place as well, and we are set. Follow my Instagram if you're bored. I promise I keep things interesting. Here are a few of my other teardown videos as well. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.